And over to here. So who do we bring into this? First of all, we brought in Norma. You want to say hello? Or? Good job.
I'm Norma.
Good job, Norma.
I don't know if you can do that.
How many of you know Norma?
Okay.
Okay.
All right.
That's what I love about Akron. You can go to any meeting and you know half the people there, and the other half are wonderful people to meet. Right? That's perfect. Akron's just the right size, and Akron region. Anyway, I'm Norma Rist. I'm glad to meet all of you that I do not know. I have a small consulting company, primarily working with independent professionals who want to build a business that can be sold. So that's the most fun thing I do.
Cool. And Chris?
Well, I'm Chris Brown. How many people here know me? A couple. A few, yeah. I run a marketing firm right here in Hudson, so I'm a local, as you will. But we actually serve companies all across the country. I worked at Little Tikes, Rubbermaid, for about 6 years prior to that, and also Hasbro and Dart Craft before I started my company in '98. So the whole purpose of the company is to help other companies that don't have a marketing department. When I formed it in '98, I used my AOL email, and I didn't have a website for 2 years. I maybe reserved one in '99, I think. But the whole internet thing has boomed during the time that I've been a business owner, and I've really enjoyed the whole fact that it is great to market on the internet now. Right now I run a blog that's called Branding and Marketing, and I have almost 10,000 subscribers. A lot of content on there, and it's right there, brandandmarket.com. So if there's a question that you think of later this afternoon that's around branding and marketing, go ahead to that website and type in the search box your question, and chances are I'll have a couple blog posts about it. So, you know, that's a little bit about me.
Deborah.
Well, I'm Deborah Chaddock-Brown, and I recognize some faces here. I don't know, do you recognize me?
Do you watch Cops?
Yeah, that was last week. I'm also here in Hudson. My business is more involved around the tactics of the content that you would put on the internet representing your business. So I'm a website writer. I'm also helping businesses with the other content that they create and creating a social media strategy for how they can build awareness, build credibility, but also, most importantly, build customer relationships, primarily using the social media tools that are available out there. So I'm available. And John, if you could do me a favor, I left a stack of my business cards on there. Could you just kind of start those around? I also have a blog. I started blogging. My business started in 2005, and I had a website right away, and I had a blog pretty much right away. And I've had a variety of blogs. Where Chris has been, Chris is phenomenal in so many areas, and one of the ways I admire her so much is that with her blog, she's remained constant, whereas I've started and stopped multiple blogs over time. And she has, in one place, an incredible wealth of information, and you can kind of watch how things in marketing and branding and social media have changed and evolved. Because unlike Bob, the reason there's no word expert next to your name, darling, is because social media does change on a regular basis. And there really is no such thing even as a social media expert, because you can't be an expert in something that is just so new and fresh and changing continuously. So I'm very excited to be here, and there you go, that's me.
And just kind of an overall thing. First of all, for those of you who are interested, there's actually a group, the Akron Bloggers Community.
Right.
And that meets on the fourth Thursday?
Last
Thursday of each month, down at the, this is where I just stop and, you know.
It meets at what used to be the Arabica, but now it's called Mocha Joe's, right next to Eddie's Bike Shop at the corner of 91 and Graham. And that's how the four of us meet up once a month, and several other people that are in the room as well. There's so many new things with blogging and social media that we can't keep up, so rather than go to a conference and pay thousands of dollars to try to learn this, every month we get together and share ideas and help each other. Mike's part of that, Donna's part of that, and some other folks too. So Please join us if you're interested in learning about blogging, WordPress, social media, YouTube, all those types of things. 9:30 until 11 every month, the last Thursday at Mocha Joe's.
And if you're interested in that, contact any of us after. There's no charge for this. It's a very, hey, we're getting together and see what works, all that kind of thing. But another aspect of this, if you'll notice by what these folks have talked about, we have someone who specializes in really creating the content, someone who is kind of on the marketing side, and then someone who is on the management and where's the company going from that direction. So those are three aspects. Now they're all tied together by the use of social media, but they're three different perspectives as far as what to do and how to do it. And then you've got me. You like lunch?
You're keeping the hardware
Yay for lunch.
There you go. I did the PowerPoint. Great. How can we help? Yeah, we do all that stuff. Isn't it wonderful? I thought I'd talk real briefly about what Simplex-IT does for our marketing program. And obviously this is not an advertisement for, because that's not what we do in terms of our service, but just to give you an idea where we're coming from. And first of all, we say, what are our goals? And we want people to know who we are. We want people to come away with some issues. And I'm dead serious about some of this stuff. And the reason being is because about 2/3 of the customers that we get because they are dissatisfied with the people who was providing IT support before. So there's a reason for this. They're dissatisfied in some cases because the other guys didn't contact them, in some cases because the other guys were geeks, were condescending, didn't really treat them seriously, whatever. So they lacked in a lot of the soft skills. So we want to make sure that people see that, okay, we may not be funny, but we're fun. Okay, we're not. Well, anyway, so we're easier to deal with. So that's actually a very specific goal on our part. All right. So what do? We do an e-newsletter every month. It goes out to over 2,000 people. Every month, the first business day of the month in the afternoon, we send that puppy out. All right. We do about 300 postcards every month that deal specifically with, we try to share knowledge, but it goes out every month. We do a luncheonar like this every month. And part of this is so other people can say, yeah, you're the guys who do that. So yeah, we want you to be involved, we want you to be interested in all that, but we also want to have an impact on people because we tell them about it on the blog. We tell them about it on Facebook. We tell them about it on Twitter, on LinkedIn, on YouTube. This will be on YouTube ultimately. Okay? And all of it is related. I'm guessing that's accurate. So what we'll do is we will do a blog entry. When we do the blog entry, we will then tweet it, put it on LinkedIn, put it on Facebook. Ultimately, when we do the newsletter is composed of blog articles. And in the newsletter, it starts out with an introduction, but then a link to the blog. So that blog entry ends up getting used 3 or 4 different times. When we do the luncheonar gets posted in the blog. It gets tweeted. So what we're trying to do here is we're trying to reuse all of these strategies. So we don't have to do it more than once. Because I am a lazy man. I'm not good at it, but I really want to be lazy. So that's kind of what we do. We try to integrate a lot of this stuff together. And a lot of the ways we've decided some of the tools or some of the techniques is by, well, actually the ABC group's been very helpful and just, hitting ideas back and forth. So for you guys, how many of you are actually doing this whole social media thing? Okay. And I could hear some people going, well, yes, some kind of, a little bit. Yeah, I tweeted something. Okay. And how many of you are doing it for yourself? And then how many for a business? And just so I care, how many of you yourself is the business? Okay, cool. And now, how many of you have actually a plan or a strategy? Not as many hands, and all of them were doing the shimmy.
Jazz hands.
Well, I think jazz hands you have to have 2, don't you? So it was a jazz hand-ish.
So use both hands?
There you go. Or you get together with someone who was also doing one hand and you're Siamese social media experts. Just real quick, how many of you have blogs? Video blogs? I would include you. How many of you, Twitter? Facebook? LinkedIn? YouTube? E-newsletters? And then how many of you actually are gathering metrics about this stuff? Okay. A lot of people are going to have some wrist issues after this.
Wrist issues.
Okay, so we've got some questions, and really what we're going to do now we've gotten some feedback from you guys, and we're kind of going to open it up to some discussions and all that fun silliness. So we've got a lot of people who, probably 2/3 to 3/4 of the folks raised their hand and said, yeah, I'm using it. But a lot less people actually said we have a strategy. What's the difference, and why do we need one?
I think it's a little bit like that. You want to go somewhere, so you start driving, but you forgot to look on the map and see where you were going, so you don't end up anywhere, right? So a strategy for your business, thinking in terms of your target market, who you want to reach, why you want to reach them, what message and branding you want to bring to them. If you figure that out ahead of time, before you get all the technical, I am not technical, I can write out my strategy, I know exactly who I want to reach, and I know what I want them to do, I know what information I want to send to them, and then I have to work really hard at figuring out which of the social media opportunities would be best for that, and then the technical of how to actually get that done. So most of you raised your hand, yes, you were the business, so you have a small business, thinking in terms of where do you want that business to go? What's it look like 5 years down the road? And what kind of clients do you need? Your best clients, therefore your best prospects, and how to reach them, how to connect with them.
At the same time, you gotta, don't you need to know what the options are?
Yes, and aren't you smart that you came to this? You get a gold star. Because if you come and listen, I can tell you, a couple years ago, I didn't know any of the words, any of the options, and I just started going to things. And I've been to 5 or 6 podcamps with Chris and with Deborah. We even went over to Pittsburgh, and in the beginning, I just listened. I got concepts, words, and what was available. And eventually, I had a better idea of what would be a good fit for me.
What's a podcast? I guess I don't know what's successful in my industry. I mean, I know I want to generate more business. That's what I want to do. But I don't know what works.
What industry are you in?
Accounting and tax preparation.
So you have to some degree, you have your hands tied a little bit about what you can say financially and what you can't say on the internet, unlike some other service and product industries. Financial investors and the financial industry, you have your hands tied because you can't make recommendations, you can't give the same kind of level of advice as maybe some of the other industries.
And I can't say I will guarantee to get you a bigger return than
Right.
everybody else.
Right.
Like that.
Right. However, that doesn't mean that you can't still participate and have really wonderful results from your participation in social media. One of the sites I'd recommend that you visit, and the only reason I'm going to give this to you is because it's short enough to spell out, but if you go to CMO.com, stands for Chief Marketing Officer.com, and at this point it's buried in their site, so in their search bar on their site, search for the social landscape. And there's a PDF of a chart that gives you very clear indication. There are 4 reasons, they've got it boiled down to 4 reasons why you want to participate in social media. One is to have more brand awareness for your business and for yourself. One is to connect with customers. One is for search engine optimization, and one is to drive traffic to your website. And it gives a very clear, colorful guide for those 4 benefits, those 4 outcomes, what they recommend that you participate in and why. So, to answer your question about which vehicle is the best, and it talks about the main ones, so you're going to have very recognizable names as well as some names that may not be as recognizable, but there are about 12 or 15 different options, and it tells you which one and why you would want to participate in for whatever goal or outcome you are looking for. So that would be back to helping you begin the strategy, that would be a starting place.
There was also a question about what is Podcamp, and I don't know if anyone else is interested about it, but it started out as Podcast Camp. Podcast being an audio track, like a cassette tape, only a downloadable audio track that you can download off of the internet. And people wanted to figure out how to do that, so they started this thing called Podcamp, which means it's a fun time and it's free, and they're all over the country, and it's expanded well past podcasts to blogs, word camps, how to do YouTube videos, how to use social media. And just matter of fact, this coming weekend, starting tomorrow, it's a 3-dayer. In Columbus, there is WordCamp, Podcamp, Ohio. It's if you Google that, you'll find it. We just had the 2nd annual Cleveland Podcamp the end of April, and I believe it's already set up for the 1st of May next year. So we have one very local here. You don't have to spend the night or anything. Pittsburgh, where Norma and I went this past year, celebrated their 5th, and they were actually the 5th city to pick up Podcamps. So they're very advanced compared to Cleveland, you know, just because they were one of the beginners. But the cool thing about Podcamps, because it is so viral and so much on the internet, you can download. I've been to Nashville Podcamp, but virtually. Sitting at home in my family room, I type it in, they broadcast things live, they record things, so you can actually visit the different Podcamps from your own computer at your house or in your office. But it's a great way to learn, and they're free, and everyone shares, which is kind of a really neat thing. So, you know, not to plug our bloggers group, but it's a mini Podcamp, so you don't get overwhelmed in an hour and a half, because that's the biggest problem with Podcamp. You learn so much in such a short time.
Yeah, your brain explodes
fry.
right around 2:15.
Yeah, exactly.